What's happening, everybody? Trey here, joined by my dad, Sean, and today, reactions to the classics. We are up to 1995 in our album by year draft. Going to be drafted 5 albums apiece, and if you missed any of the other episodes, you can check them out in the playlist, which will be linked at the end here.
Exactly, and if you guys don't know how this works, I get first pick this year, which sometimes is an advantage, sometimes it isn't. Trey gets picks 2 and 3, and so on. Pay attention, though. Let us know who you think won. Share your 5 top albums of 1995 in the comments below. So, Trey, I'm going to kick this thing off. One of the things I have belabored in these countdowns is how long the albums are of the 90s for those of us that lived through it. It's because CDs came on, artists wanted to fill up the full 74 minutes. Well, I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to go against, I usually don't like that so much. I'm going to go to the ultimate extreme here, and my number one pick is 2 hours and 1 minute long, which is absolutely insane. We got the Pumpkins, Smashing Pumpkins, Melancholy, and the Infinite Sadness.
Great album.
Their third album, debuted at number 1 in the U.S., their only number 1 U.S. album. Billy Corgan aimed the album's message at people aged 14 to 24, hoping to, quote, sum up all the things I felt as a youth but was never able to voice articulately. All guitars in the album were tuned down a step in order to make the music a little slower, according to Billy. I guess I was 24 at this time. Is that why it spoke to me, Trey? So many styles and genres represented. Favorites, of course, are 1979, Zero, and Tonight Tonight. But there are so many songs on here, and it has to be varied to keep your attention for that long, but it actually does. So that's my number 1 pick.
No, man, fantastic album. Smashing Pumpkins, they have all their records so far because Gish appeared on my list, and Siamese Dream, and now we got this. So yeah, great group. And I'm going now with my first with Mobb Deep, the infamous, one of my favorite hip hop albums of all time, one of the great hip hop duos of all time. Again, I quite enjoy that New York East Coast 90s hip hop sound, and here you have Havoc and the late great Prodigy putting together one of the best rap albums ever on their second record here. Got iconic sampling, got a dark kind of nighttime type of vibe to it, which I really enjoy. And I mean the features on here are just fantastic. You have Nas, you have the great Raekwon, and Q-Tip from Tribe Called Quest all make their appearances. Q-Tip even produces one of the tracks on here. Shook Ones Part 2, not only one of the great hip-hop songs, but it's probably in the running for top 10, 15 song of all time for me. Just can't help but get hyped anytime you hear that. Trife Life, Survival of the Fittest, and Eye for an Eye show the storytelling chops of the group, so check that out if any of that interests you. And next up, I'm going with Radiohead's second record, The Bends, keeping on the second albums here. Probably their most accessible type record, as you really have Tom York and company bringing great rockers like the title track, which is one of my top 10 Radiohead songs. But then you have really, mature, impressive, kind of not experimental, but definitely pushing the boundaries to what they would be on OK Computer and Kid A, on something like Street Spirit, Fade Out. Right. Fake Plastic Trees is fantastic. Planet Telex. So many really great cuts on this. And Radiohead's one of my favorite bands, and this is a top 3 or 4 record for me from them. So
I agree, right below OK Computer and then Rainbows. All right. Yeah, I mean, Radiohead would have made mine, but my second pick, their debut made my list, and their second album's going to make it. The Verve, A Northern Soul, 13 in the UK. Lukewarm critical success initially, but now thought of highly, partly because the debut is more psychedelic. This is more a shift towards the alternative. On that debut, A Storm in Heaven, it was almost all written in the studio. They kind of figured it out when they got there. This one, they did it a totally different way because they were like, that was a nightmare. We're not going to do it that way. And they were also doing some drugs at the time. And so they worked it all out ahead of time, wrote it, rehearsed it. But it's now thought of really highly, and I was highly impressed with it. Now we're going to an album that is going to be on a lot of people's lists, and people are going to be one way or the other on this one. There's no in between. What's a Story, Morning Glory, Oasis, second studio album. This is the one that propelled them to crazy success. Their debut, definitely maybe, was actually on my previous year's list. 10 weeks at number 1 in the UK, best-selling album of the 90s in the UK, and 5th best-selling ever. You got Roll With It, Trey. You got Wonderwall and the great Don't Look Back in Anger.
Champagne Supernova.
I was going to say, that's what I was about to say. If you're in the U.S., you know the Champagne Supernova song really well. I don't think it's one of the best songs on there.
Wow,
but
hot take, Sean.
No, it's not a hot take. I think a lot of people feel that way.
I let us know in the comments. I think
Look at Trey,
Champagne Supernova is one of most people's favorites, but I could be wrong.
I don't think you're right on that. But I mean, I know those of you who love it are going to go in the comments. Yeah, man, that's one of my favorites. So if you don't, just tell everybody that I'm right.
I'm going now. My third pick, going to keep in the hip hop. I'm going to go Jizz's Liquid Swords, one of the best hip hop albums I think of the '90s. Came out in my birth week, 2 days after I was born. Man, carried by the legendary production of RZA of the Wu-Tang Clan, of course, and Jizz is probably probably my favorite, just pure technical rapper from the Wu-Tang Clan. And here you have so many features from the Wu-Tang Clan members, and the skits, kind of carry that patented Wu-Tang old school Japanese films type of style in there. Fourth Chamber, Bible, Shadowboxing, and Swordsman in particular show how talented a beatmaker that RZA is, and I can't say that there's a weak song on here.
Right on.
Love the album cover as well. And going now, switching gears to another second album right here. We got Bjork's Post album right here. Did well in Europe in particular, an artsy release that starts to lean into some of the electronic
Definitely
spheres
does, yeah.
that Bjork would definitely experiment with on a Homogenic on her next release and further on in her career. It showcases, I think, that one-of-a-kind voice that she has against that timeless production. Hyper Ballad, arguably her best track, while Isabel and Army of Me are other top tier tunes.
Number 4 for me, these guys have appeared before on my countdown. Red House Painters, Ocean Beach, 4 studio album, 9 songs, way more folky than the droning on like previous albums. It works as one piece, as a lot of Mark Kozlek stuff do. His songwriting and delivery are on point once again. There's not really a standout track. It's just kind of like a vibe, man. A lot of the songs sound the same, not in a bad way, but you kind of feel like you're sitting there just listening to somebody who's telling you a story, and it kind of unfolds. It's not a concept album, but it kind of unfolds. And then my last pick, this album is fantastic. The Magnetic Fields, Get Lost, their 5th studio album. Stephen Merritt on vocals, Claudia Gonson on drums, vocals, ukulele. 13 tracks, but instead of this long, drawn-out album, they're very short and concise. Soundscape is fantastic. Once again, an album for me that I don't pick out a song in. It just works. It's a great listening experience. You will not regret it if you hadn't heard this before. Comes with my highest recommendation because many people haven't heard this before. I'd never heard it until I listened to it.
Well, yeah, I got to check that out. I know Magnetic Field's most famous record, 69 Love Songs, which I haven't listened to either. So
no, I haven't dove into that one, but this one's very accessible and very nice.
And finishing it off with Pulp's best record, in my opinion, Different Class, their 5th album. I know you had His and Hers last.
Yeah, we had a discussion on last year's about that. So Trey's getting at it, and I think it's that much less than His and Hers. This has more peaks though.
No, yeah, it debuted at 1, also won the Mercury Prize. It has Common People, which one of the more famous tunes of the era, one of our more famous song reactions as well.
It is.
Disco 2000, of course, is lovely, and it manages to squeeze in catchy numbers like Underwear, Something Changed, The Creepy I Spy. I think Jarvis is at his peak here as a songwriter, and is in the short running for best Britpop album ever, in my opinion.
I can see that. So, I can see it's on that list.
I really enjoy me some Pulp, man. But a lot of honorable mentions on this list as well.
Yeah, there is. I got Grand Prix, Teenage Fan Club. That was my last cut. You got Aisha Coco by Supergrass. Jagged Little Pill by Alanis Morissette. That album, if you're my age, Trey, you heard that album to death. You saw the videos to death. I went back and listened to it and go, wow, man, this thing actually holds up. You got the Foo Fighters debut. You got the Ghost of Tom Joad by Springsteen, a mainly acoustic thing. Kind of harkens back to Nebraska. Not as good as that. You got Elliott Smith's debut.
Yeah.
Wrecking Ball, Emmylou Harris. That album is so good. I was shocked that I would listen to an Emmylou Harris and loved it.
I need to check that out then.
And then, of course, you got the man Pac, Me Against the World. You got Ron Sexsmith's debut.
Yeah, man. Some great ones there. We also have Blind Melon Soup. I reviewed that for one of our patrons. Quite enjoyed that. We got D'Angelo Brown Sugar getting a little R&B action up in here. Big L Lifestyles of the Poor and Dangerous. Great. Big L, one of the great I think rappers, honestly, of all time. His career was unfortunately cut short. Goody Mob, CeeLo Green's group right there.
Right.
Soul Food, again, like the mix of kind of soul music, hip hop that they did there. Guided by Voices, Alien Lanes, PJ Harvey to Bring You My Love, and then another Wu-Tang member, Raekwon, Only Built for the Cuban Links.
And I forgot one of mine, Slow Dive, Pygmalion, also a great album. So let us know who you think won. Show us your favorites down below. And also, if you'd like to help us anyway, check out our Patreon link below, our Patreon link on the end screen, where you can vote as a patron on a listening party. We pick each year's winner, and then once we have 4 years put together, we pick the winner of those 4, and we have a listening party once a month on Thursdays on YouTube.
Yeah, so man, all in all, I think a pretty solid year.
I agree.
Whenever you include all the honorable mentions, as we were going through the 90s, a lot of different types of genres that are kind of firing pretty heavily right here, man. So I'm digging it. Looking forward to 96 next week. So until next time, thanks for watching, happy listening, and we will see you.